Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace, especially your real estate deals. We like to feature our listings on air and maximize the exposure for our sellers on our real estate property. So if you're buying, selling, or investing, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. 727-263-3707. Call or text the hotline, 727-263-3707. Hot listing here in Newport Richey, 4501 Garnett Drive. This is in the highly sought-after community of Gulf Harbors. This one is on Garnett Drive. Waterfront home, 2,215 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. You get a private community boat ramp. You also have an open floor plan here, cathedral ceiling, fireplace in the great room, upstairs loft, and it's a golf cart friendly community. Gulf Harbors, one of the highly sought after areas of Pasco County. 4501 Garnett Drive, Newport Richey. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got Brandon and Karina Faust in studio. Welcome back, and today, great topic, family business.
That's right, yep. We've been running Mold Solutions together for a year and a half, and then we had another company where she was very involved and had a lot to do with the success of that company as well. So we've been working together now for 5 years. It's not always easy, as you can imagine.
Yep.
But there's nobody that has your back and has, your best interests at heart, like your loved one, your spouse, right? So,
right. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we make it work, and it's been pretty awesome.
I love it. And Karina, welcome in. Tell us how the family business, and you love that, and got a great family there with the 2 babies.
Yes, thank you so much for having me again. The babies are growing. I obviously like to be very much connected, supporting my husband, every day to make sure that the company is doing really good, that we're doing a really good service to our clients. And as part of it, recently I actually got certified as a mold inspector, and that's basically the area that we're going into, really getting all of our people certified and trained.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, so certified as an assessor and a licensed mold inspector. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually also she already had her mold remediator certification, so it's important for us as a company that we have, as many of our guys certified, because the more they know, the better they're going to do as far as that job is concerned, right? So having that team fully certified. So we sent four of our people, and Karina was there also, just making sure that, they got through it and she got through it. So she already had her remediator's certification. So it really is a lot. It's not a lot of women in the industry that has the command and, in terms of really knowing the industry like she does.
Right.
So, she'll go into a house and, we'll go on an estimate or an inspection together. Really, it's the free environmental consultation, because we push the inspections out to other inspectors, but we'll do the free environmental consultation. And she finds mold in places that I would never find it, And even when we had our situation at our house, we've had a couple of situations at our own house. It's like the cobbler with the shoes,
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So she's the one that finds it most of the time.
Wow.
So she's got, and I think it's, I don't know why that is, but it seems like women know when there's an issue in the house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's instinctual.
Totally. Yeah. When he was having some physical issues, a couple of years ago, I think it was, he was having a lot of fevers, like very regularly, like every other week he was having high fevers and headaches and some pains on his chest. And I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit out of control, a little bit scary. So I kept telling him, I think we have mold in our bedroom. And he's like, no, I took some samples and, I think it's okay. And I'm like, I think we have mold in our bedroom. And I just kept going at it until finally, luckily enough, we did have, or unlucky but lucky, we had a water intrusion from the AC. And then we started popping the baseboards in the bedroom, and that's when he finally found it.
So the baseboards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we basically had run samples, and there's various problems in our industry, and one of the biggest ones is that the samples can give you a false negative. And unfortunately, when I first got into it, it seemed like 20% of the time, then it became 50% of the time, and now it seems like it's almost 70% of the time you get a false negative. So it gives you this peace of mind thinking that it's okay, but no, there's actually still an issue.
And when you take that sample, is it you're just holding a device out, reading the air quality?
Yeah, so you're basically taking, it's a pump, it's a suction pump, and it pulls the air that's nearby. So you're basically, it's a snapshot in time of what's floating around at that moment. So If you don't have, elevated spores, or if the mold, the colonized mold, isn't germinating or releasing spores at that time, you may not pick anything up.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the device that you're using, it's called a spore trap or a cassette, where it pulls this air, and then you can see the little spores under a microscope. But the problem with it is that the spores are really the only thing you can see.
Right.
There's a thing that mold releases, which is toxic, called a mycotoxin, or mycotoxins. It's myco is a Greek word for fungus, and that's not going to show up on an air sample at all. It's a poisonous substance. It's 1/3 the size of a mold spore, and that is what gives the biggest issue for people health-wise.
Right.
Is the mycotoxin. Now, the thing that's interesting about that is not every single mold produces a mycotoxin, but there's more and more that are starting to kind of come up as actually a problem.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was recently looking into. This is from the EPA, and it said, as mold grows, some, but not all of them, produce potentially toxic byproducts called mycotoxins under some conditions. Some of these molds are commonly found in moisture-damaged buildings. More than 200 mycotoxins from common molds have been identified, and many more remain to be identified. That's from May 4th, 2022 from the EPA.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a pretty open-ended, many more are to be discovered.
Right.
So one of the things that we found is this mold called cladosporium, which a lot of people didn't think had a mycotoxin release, but the amount of people that get sick from it is substantial, yet it doesn't show up in the air sample. So it's like, well, what's the problem? Well, it's the mycotoxin release from that particular mold. So I think there's a lot to still be discovered in this particular arena, and how much of a problem it actually can cause.
Yeah,
sure.
indoor air quality is a big topic. I like you said, discovery. I mean, to health. Health wise, I think it's an overlooked area. Because if we look at our water, we can sometimes see it, but it's still invisible highly most of the part, right? So we have water science, Fred DeFelice, water quality expert on the show. But some areas of your life you can kind of see it and smell it a little bit more than others. But this indoor air quality, it's something where people, again, it's a theme of the last couple of shows is you don't know what you don't know, and people get sick and they're trying to figure out man, what's happening? I thought I just had this cold last week and I got it again. They're passing it around. By the way, if you just joined us, we're talking with Brandon and Karina Faust here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. The company is Mold Solutions USA, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we talk about these different areas. Over the years, Brandon, and you mentioned where, you've had that exact example play out. People were getting sick. Their doctor said, man, I've looked at everything. We've done these different tests. You might want to have your home inspected for mold.
Absolutely. And really that's what got us into, what turned us into people that were passionate about the subject. For both my wife and I, our son at a month old was waking up, you want to...
Yeah, 3 days in a row, he was just waking up, not able to breathe properly, just having really a lot of struggle with just breathing. And the third night, I told him, if he's not better tomorrow morning, I'm really going to have to take him to the hospital, because I was really concerned.
Right.
And then he said, let me check tomorrow morning. Let's check in the room. So we started doing a little bit. That's when he had just started in the industry. So he's like, let me just apply what I just learned and see if it is environmental. And yeah, sure enough, there he was. He started moving this brand new shelving system or dresser that I had gotten for him for his clothing. And right behind it, it was covered with mold.
Wow.
And we were like, okay, how did this happen? So we started looking, and we're like, oh, there was a very slow leak coming from the guest bathroom that his mother had used. She had come in for 2 weeks to visit and see the new baby. And we had no idea, because we had never used that bathroom. This very tiny slow leak started creeping in under the baseboards and into his room.
Right.
And then he grew all the way up the shelving system.
And then it was basically being taken up by the AC unit, which is in that same room. So the AC unit was pulling the moldy air and then redistributing it throughout the entire house.
Air handlers pulling it in.
Yeah, so it's sucking it in and then distributing it. So the baby was in our room, and even all the way from, that's 20 yards or something like that.
Right.
It's basically being distributed throughout the house due to the AC system.
And his new body, picked it up faster.
Oh,
maybe,
absolutely.
Maybe, because it's more dynamic, or it's more.
He's breathing faster than us adults. It's like babies actually breathe faster and more than adults.
Right.
Because their body is just going through that development process.
And the immune system wasn't fully, there as well. Right?
That's
exactly.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got a couple minutes here left, so I want to get right into, if our audience has questions or they want an inspection, what's that process look like? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So they call into the office. The number is 727-276-4787. They can also 727-276-4787. They can also find us at moldsolutions.com. That's pretty easy. And there's a little discount code there too. If they go to the website, they can take a look. So moldsolutions.com, and then they call into the office, and we'll schedule a free environmental consultation. So depending on the scenario, it may need a independent inspector, but we have 10 or so that we work with in the area that are good. They show up on time. They do a good inspection. Their rates are fair. So we'll call them in as needed, or we can go straight to a handling if it's that type of a scenario. If it's duct related, if it's HC related, we also have another company called Real Duct Cleaning that is, and the name is Real Duct Cleaning for a reason, because a lot of times the duct cleaning isn't actually getting done, by a lot of companies. They're just going in and, kind of spray and pray, trying to say, oh yeah, we've cleaned the ducts, but it doesn't really get done, or they come up with a reason why the ducts can't be cleaned. So we actually will clean the blower wheel, clean the coils, do the brushing, encapsulate as needed with the fiberlock paint, where there's actual fiberglass and you can't brush it. And then we also can supply the purifiers and the UV lights and things along those lines. And that's realductcleaning.com. So I'm partnered with a AC contractor on that. But we really needed to have a go-to in terms of doing it right and making sure that it was done correctly. If we were going to get the final result of a safe and healthy home, that's what we're trying to provide to our customers. You can't do it in Florida without addressing the AC.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of AC contractors just stay away from that dirty four-letter word called mold. They hate that word. They don't want it, the liability. So for us as mold contractors, we couldn't touch the AC unit. So it was really vital to sort of bridge that gap.
Right.
Because the person that was actually suffering was the consumer at the end of the day.
Yeah. Wow. Makes a lot of sense. So, again, support the local economy by supporting our local area business owners. We've got a beautiful family business here, Brandon and Karina Faust, Mold Solutions USA, moldsolutions.com, realductcleaning.com, and it's not duck like the animal duck, it's DUCT.
That's right, yeah.
Ductcleaning.com. And, thanks for coming in, and final word back to you.
Yeah, just indoor air quality, like you said. You can see it with the water. You don't want to drink dirty water. You wouldn't want to eat contaminated food. You don't want to breathe in nasty air. Those are the three things that you need for your survival.
Yeah.
And if you're taking in these ultrafine particles that are disruptive to your immune system, it's going to have a long-term impact. So you want to make sure you have top quality food, water, and air.
Right on. All right, good stuff. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Hey, my pleasure. Awesome. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Shane Socash, David Reynolds, Jewelry and Coin, alternative investments. We talk with him a lot. He's got a lot of people coming in and buying gold and silver, other precious metals. He's also got awesome jewelry design as well over there. Shane Socash coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, everybody, it's the Captain, Matt Bruce, and you're listening to my buddy Brandon Rhymes, a Consumer Quarterback. Sell, Brandon, sell.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 811.